what would you do if your fears were hacked? What's going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. And this is going to be my review for the recently released Observer. So Observer is out right now on Xbox One, PS4, PC. I played it on Xbox One. It's available for $30, developed by Bloober Team, the creators of Layers of Fear, and published by Asper Media. So I went into this not really liking Layers of Fear because I played that originally, so I was hoping that developer could step up their game and improve upon what I thought was a mediocre game, and boy, did they ever. So Observer is a cyberpunk horror game, right? And let's talk about the story. You know, I love sci-fi, and this game is sci-fi through and through. The year is 2084. You play as Daniel Lazarski, who's an elite neural detective known as an Observer, and part of a corporate-funded police unit whose purpose is to hack and invade suspects' minds. And that stuff is really awesome when you get to actually go into a person's mind and experience it, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So the whole story is centered around, it starts when you get a mysterious message from your estranged son, who happens to work for the almighty Chiron Corporation. In your search to find him, you journey into the seedy Class C slums of Krakow to investigate. And as you hack into the minds and criminals and their victims to find clues, you are forced to relive their darkest fears. So one of the first things you'll notice is the stylized look of the game. Since it's set in 2084 and everybody kind of has these implants, the game, I love the game's stylized look. It has this kind of glow around certain things, this like greenish glow that really makes the game stand out, and it kind of hooked me right away. Now, Daniel Lazarski is also played by Ruder Hager, and I'm sorry if I said his name wrong. You might remember him from Blade Runner. He played a replicant in that, so he kind of fits into this game very well, and he does the voiceover for the main character. The game plays out in first person, and it is a kind of cyberpunk psychological horror game, but also at its core, it is a detective game. So like I said, you get a call from your son, you track his last known position, and you end up at this apartment complex where he lived at, right? And you find something. But I'm not going to tell you what you find because obviously I'm going to keep my review spoiler free, so I don't want to spoil anything. And you set up a crime scene because you are a detective, right? And much like the Batman Arkham Asylum, the Batman Arkham games, you can kind of toggle in between different vision modes. You have a mode for biological stuff where you can kind of see blood or biological matter that you can then scan and get more information about. Or you also have like a technological one that you can turn on to kind of see things in the environment that you can pick up, scan, or look through, like cupboards, refrigerators, and things like that. And as you gather all the evidence in the room, you can kind of come to a conclusion. And then that is kind of where the fun kicks in, because usually in that investigation, you hack into the person's mind. And this is where the game gets really, really interesting. Because when you jack into someone's mind, you basically replay that person's key moments in their life, building up to the moment where that person died. And the scenes kind of like collapse, reconstruct, deconstruct, and they do all this really cool stuff. It is a really cool light show, although there isn't much interaction in these flashbacks, in these mind jacks per se. But some of the visuals are quite stunning and quite cool to see. Now, some people would describe the game maybe as a walking simulator, but I think that's a little bit too harsh. You do a lot of walking. It's a detective game at its core. You go into an area, you pick up objects of interest, you determine what's going on, you go into the person's head to get more clues, and then you kind of follow the breadcrumbs to the next area. Now, the game takes place in this sprawling apartment complex, and there are side quests you can go and complete outside of the main storyline. There are many tenants that live here, and there's some really creepy side quests that you can delve into that really kind of expand upon the lore of the universe. And I did as many as I can find. In fact, I think I did them all. You can interrogate a lot of the crazy and unique members of the the apartments complex. Some of them won't really give you the time of day, but some of them are pretty out there and pretty weird. But where the game shines most is in these mindjack segments that I mentioned previously. They are completely well done, and the game is just so much better paced than their previous game, Layers of Fear. Now, if you're in it for achievements and trophies, this game is a easy completion if you're willing to play it twice for the second ending. Also, if you're willing to get a lot of the collectibles hidden throughout the game. You can get it pretty easy. 1,000, I think I have 700. And one playthrough, your first playthrough of the game, trying to find everything, talking to everybody at the complex, doing all the optional objectives, doing all the mindjack sequences, will last you around 9 to 10 hours. I think my final play time was 9 hours and 30 minutes, and I did kind of start up a second playthrough. Now, the game does have a fail state. You won't encounter it right away, but the more you play, you'll have this hide-and-seek element in some of these mindjack sequences where something is chasing you, and if that thing catches you, you will die, and then you kind of just got to restart over. It kind of adds to that horror element. But for me, I don't really get scared when playing games too much, so the horror element wasn't... You know, it wasn't like I was playing like Outlast 2. There are some jump moments there. I think Outlast 2 is a little bit more horror-y than this one, but this one, it was just, I kind of looked at it as a fantastic cyberpunk sci-fi detective game. That was kind of how I approached everything about it. Now, of course, I gotta mention some of the negatives, and that mainly is, this affects the score greatly, because as much as I love the game, and I do, I really, really enjoy this game a lot, the performance issues on the Xbox are pretty bad. There are some severe pop-in in cases, but the biggest issue is the frame rate. It just is not good. It'll drop here and there. When you open up doors, it'll just stutter. And then even the loading. So when you open up doors with the right trigger, sometimes you won't be able to, and the little icon will spin. And it's spinning because it's loading what's behind it. And sometimes you can't open up the door for a good 20 to 30 seconds. And it's just, at first I was like, why can't I open up this door? But then it became apparent, it's like, oh, it's loading the game behind it. So the game technically isn't good on the Xbox. So I would recommend, if you do play this game, your best bet is to probably play it on the PC, where it probably looks better and also runs much smoother. And that comes down to what I think overall of the game. I think this game is fantastic. I think you're a fan of detective games, sci-fi, cyberpunk games. You owe it to yourself to delve into this game. I think it's entirely worth the $30 that they're asking for it. I enjoyed kind of the story they were telling. I was really fixated on figuring out what was going to happen by the end. It's just a little bit of my like and love for the game was just diminished by how awful it runs on the Xbox, which is why instead of giving the game like a 9, I'm going to give the game an 8.5. I'm going to give the game an 8.5 because it just doesn't run well. If the game ran well, it would definitely be a 9. It is a fantastic game. I'm so happy that it seems like this developer has learned from what I consider a mediocre game with Layers of Fear and has made a game worth playing. This is a game that I think a lot of people out there are going to overlook, but should definitely look into. It is a great detective game, and it is a great sci-fi, psychological horror game. But anyways, guys, that is my review, 8.5. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you pick up Observer if you think it's in your, alley. Anyways, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new or haven't already. And I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.